Hello, so what I'm going to show you today is how to set a material instance and why they're useful, and then show you a project that I'm working on that uses a bit more of an advanced material instance, which will give you an idea of how useful it can be. So what I've done is I've created two folders, one materials, one textures. And the textures one, I've just got some textures I've got off the internet. And so what we do is go into our materials folder, masters folder. I'll just delete that so we start fresh. Right click material and give it a name, so master material. I've also, if you noticed, put inside the materials folder a master folder. The reason being is that I can put anything that is controlling something else in there. So that means that you could, in this section, you could have 500 material instances, and if you need to make an edit to it, you just have to go to your master folder, and there it is. So if you double click on our master material, you get your bog standard material editor window with all your nodes and whatnot in here. So what we'll do is go back to our textures. We'll drag in, say, the metal one. You can get textures all on the internet. There's loads of places to get that. I've just got these as an example. So drag the pin in, save it, and now what we can do is we can just drag this onto, say, that. There we go. So it's working now. The trouble with this is obviously you can duplicate this, create it, duplicate this, and so on. So for all three of these, or for 500 textures, materials, whatever. But if you need to make an edit, say, to all of them, you would have to go through 500 materials to edit it. So this is where an instance comes in. What we'll do is right-click, material instance, and name it mi, say, wood, and we'll create two more, mi metal, mi fabric. So what we can do is, say, drag that onto each. It's obviously all the same colour. Now if we double click on one of the material instances that we've created, you can see that the window's different. So if we compare it to that one, this has got all this going on, and this one's just got all this going on. And you'll notice the parent is what we're working on there. So what we can do now is, if we right click on the texture we dragged in and convert it to a parameter, give it a name, say base texture, save it. Always remember to save it, because a lot of the times it won't appear unless you save it. Go back to our fabric one, and we've got a new exposed parameter here. So what we can do is we can tick it, and now we can drag our fabric texture in. There we go, it's added it. So then we can go to our materials and say open the wood one, tick it. You can drop down here, but obviously you could have tons of materials textures here, so it could become a nightmare. We'll do that anyway. So what I like to do is I like to then move these material instances back into my materials folder. So as you can see there, we've got three different textures, all running off of one master material via material instances. Now, say, a very simple example, we want to change the name of this. So we'll go to our master material, click on it, and if we go over to our parameter here and name it, say we wanted to put a space in instead of an underscore, or just leave it like that, what will happen is, if we do that, there we go. So it's removed it, tidied up, whatever. So then we can do, say we want to make the metal more shiny, we can expose that. So if you hold one on the keyboard, that creates that. We'll hold another one for the roughness, and what we'll do is we'll right click on the node, convert to parameter, name it is it metallic? Metallic. And say on the roughness, right click, convert to parameter roughness. Again, save. So what will happen now is this will go, yep. So what we can do is we can go to our metal material instance. We can up the metallic of it. As you can see, it's changing that, but if you notice, it's not changing the wood, it's just changing that. And then we can go roughness, and I believe that's already, was it? I've probably plugged it into the wrong one. Yes, plugged it into the wrong one. So plug it into the roughness, get that right. There we go, so it's really shiny, so we can say, oh, that's too shiny, we want it just a little bit less. Now the wood, as you can see, that's shiny. We can go into there, go, well, I want just a little bit of a varnishy look. Obviously, fabric's not shiny, so we can just put that up to 1. As you notice here, it goes above 1 and below 0. What you can actually do is, if we go to our master material, is go to see it's the slider value, and we can set that to 0. We can give it a default value as well, so with the roughness we can say 0.5, so it doesn't make everything shiny. Sometimes it's better to make it over the top. So that then if we set that value back, there you go, it's 0.5. But if you notice now, it can't go above or below 0 or 1. So we'll do the same with metallic. So click on that, say 0.5, 0, 1. Wait for it to always remember to save. And there we go, we've got metallic. But obviously, fabric doesn't have metallic. Wood, you can see, you can actually get some cool things by doing stuff like metallics and whatnot, but wood doesn't have metallic. Right, so that gives you a rough idea of how that works, why it's good to use. Obviously you can build this up into something huge. Or another quick tip, if you notice these are in 2 different headings, so what we can do is we can say click on that. In the group over here, we're typing customization. This could be customization. You can name this whatever you want. Drop down, and you can set the sort priority here, so we can say, well, we want that to be number 1, 0, we want that to be number 1, that to be number 2. There we go, so it sorted it. Give you an example, we want to switch those 2 around, so we can go, well, that's going to be 1, that's going to be 0, 2. And there we go. So now I've got another example here, which is a project that I'm working on. And what this is this project I'm working on, and this gives you a good example of how material instances work. As you can see, I've got, I think it's 14 individual unique items here, all powered off material instances that come from a master material. So if I go materials, masters, there's my master material. I've even got one for an emissive, which gives these little lights, so I can easily change it if I need to. So if I go to, say, go to the yellow one, so it's a bit in your face, so we'll go to modulate. So you can see here that I've got all the material instances, and I can load that up, and what we've got here is my texture for it. And what we can do is we can say, right, over here, as you can see, I've created loads of parameters that are relevant to what I need for my project. So I can say, right, say I want to remove the saturation. I've created a little saturation node here, and as you can see, you can make it really yellow if you want. Set that back to there. We can say, well, I want to adjust the colour. Yeah. Obviously, when using tiling materials, I've done something where you can rotate the material. So if you had a nice tiling material and it was going the wrong direction, you can switch that easily by, say, 0.5. That would make it switch it to 95 degrees. Tiling amount, I've done one there where that can, again, tiling materials, if it was too, say that fabric we were using, if it was too chunky, we can make it smaller, we can make it bigger. This goes on and on. I've got sort of things here to adjust how aggressive the normal intensity metallic override, so I can override this texture by making it, it's just going to build the textures, making it really metallic, and it's got that sort of metally metallic look. There we go, gives you an example. Yeah, so this just goes on and on. Got one for tessellation, etc. You can't be limited by this, but the thing is that if you look here, I've got quite a few folders with varying amounts of textures in, and if I need to make an edit to all of them, all I have to do is go to that, and I can just go into my material here and add it in, or change a name or whatever, and it does it to all the instances. So this makes it incredibly efficient to use. I think it's better on performance as well, which would make sense. But yeah, I hope that helps. I'm going to be doing more tutorials like this. Is there anything you'd like to see, let me know. And also, if you could give a like and subscribe, that would be brilliant. Cheers.